everyone. Thanks so much for joining this month's installment of the Marketing Mini. This month, we'll be chatting about the 5 C's of an effective content marketing strategy. My name is Kristen Steele, and I'm the founder of Launchpad Creative. And while we're waiting for a few more people to join, I thought I would spend just a few seconds talking about the Marketing Mini. So in January of this year, my firm decided to launch a lunch and learn type of series where we spend 20 minutes a month sharing topical insight on a marketing strategy or tactic that will help our clients build brand awareness and help build their pipelines. So in January, we spent some time talking about some new LinkedIn features. And in February, we spent time chatting about SEO basics. My colleague, Taylor Kahn, really provided a crash course on SEO, explaining what SEO is, why it's important, and how effective it can be. So it looks like we have a few more people who've joined. So yeah, let's get started. So hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining this month's installment of the Marketing Mini. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the 5 C's of an effective content marketing strategy. I know I promised to get you out of here in 20 minutes, so I'm going to hold myself to that. So let's get started. So in today's session, we're going to be chatting about what is content marketing, why it is important. We'll go through each of the 5 C's of an effective content marketing strategy. And then we'll spend some time at the end discussing how to create content that converts and why combining SEO with content is critical to obtaining amazing outcomes. So what is content marketing? Content marketing is a strategy focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a defined audience, ultimately driving firm revenue growth. And as a marketer, I can tell you that I believe that creating quality content is an investment every company should make. And I'm not alone in this thinking. 46% of businesses reported they want to increase their content creation spending in 2022. And although 32% of surveyed respondents say they are overwhelmed by the amount of content available, a majority, around 44%, say they typically consume 3 to 5 pieces of content before engaging with a vendor. And I can say that this statement is true. There have been a number of clients that have said that reading some of our content was really the ultimate decision maker of choosing our firm over another. And I really feel the reason for that is they get, prospects get to understand the way you think, how you approach things, and they can see alignment in your approach and their goals. So, creating great content, it's a great investment, and it can be used in so many ways. I mean, we'll go through this in a little bit more detail later. But, investing in 12 blog posts a year, for example, you can use those blog posts in different ways. You can break it down in bite-sized snippets and share it on LinkedIn. You can create little videos, just speaking about different areas of a blog post. You can use content in email newsletters. You can use content for email marketing efforts. You can use articles that you wrote and pitch those to certain media publications. So content can be used in so many ways. And like I said, I'm a big fan. So I'm just going to keep touting the reasons why to invest in content. So why is content marketing important? Quality content is vital for building trust with prospects, clients, and industry partners. It also is effective at positioning a brand as an industry thought leader. And we have found that consistent, high quality, and engaging content impacts audiences' decision-making more than any other form of marketing. Yes, relationships and in-person meetings, those are super important, but when you look at actually marketing, whether that's putting a banner ad up somewhere, if that's just purely using social media, whatever kind of marketing you're talking about, quality content is the most effective at turning prospects into clients. And I keep saying quality, but really haven't defined it yet. So I believe that quality content addresses your audience's pain point in a very succinct and easy to digest way, while also providing food for thought. So, you know, being able to really communicate with your prospects or with your audience in just an easy, sort of engaging tone, it really just draws people in. And again, over time, it fosters trust. So to us, there are 7 benefits of content marketing. The first, it builds loyalty. Second, you can generate more social engagement, and again, just raise your brand or your firm's brand presence. Third, it fosters trust. 4, it generates more and better leads. And 5, it increases a company's visibility. 6, it positions a company as an industry thought leader. And the last, it builds brand awareness. So let's go through each of the 5 C's. The first C is calibrate. And this is all the hard work you do up front, the research, the competitor analysis. You understand where your audience gets their information. You define a strategy. And once you define the strategy, you then have to create KPIs to measure how successful your strategy is. The second C is create. This is where the fun happens. This is where you actually put pen to paper and create your masterpiece. The third C is curate. This is the research you do along the way to add validity to what you're saying. So the stats you put in or the quotes you pull. This is all the curated pieces or articles that you source to bring into your own content. The fourth C is circulate. This is where you publish your content and distribute it. So it's great to put it on a piece of an article or a blog post on your website, but if it sits there alone without you doing anything with it, you're not getting the most bang for your buck. So figure out ways to distribute your content, understand where your audience is, so that you put the content in a place that they will find it and they have the higher chance of actually reading it. And the fifth C is convert. This is where you actually measure how successful your content strategy is by seeing or understanding the audience engagement. So let's go through each of the 5 C's. So the first C, as I mentioned, is calibrate. This is the hard work. This is where you spend time researching different, relevant topics, understanding what your audience cares about, identifying their pain points, understanding where your audience finds their information, and then really pulling all those pieces to get together to define a content marketing strategy, and then actually setting up some KPIs to measure that success. And I know it's sometimes hard to identify effective KPIs to track, but we put some ideas here to give you a head start. So the first is website page visits. Are people clicking on the content and actually going back to your website? So for example, you share a blog post on LinkedIn, are people engaging with it and going to your website? You can use Google Analytics, for example, to track this. The second are downloads of form submissions. So this is when there's a piece of content on your website and the only way to access it is by providing your contact information. So are people actually filling out the form? Is your intro engaging enough? Is the topic relevant enough that people will provide their email address to download the content? The third piece is identifying how much time a person is spending on a page. Are they just skimming your blog post, or are they reading the whole thing and then clicking on another page to find out more about your firm? So Google Analytics, again, is a great tool to measure this. The click source, this is fantastic to actually track, because you can see where people are clicking on your articles. So are you sharing your article, for example, on LinkedIn and people getting it there? Or are they sharing it through an email or through a newsletter, and are they clicking on it there? Understanding where your audience is actually interacting or accessing your content is hugely important, because that's where you will end up spending more time and investing in new strategies to really engage more people through that meeting. And then is your content actually producing some legitimate leads? So this is great to measure, especially if you have an integrated marketing tool in CRM like a HubSpot. You can definitely see whether or not, or where people are engaging with your content and what happens to that prospect after. So we'll go into that a little bit later, but understanding and tracking leads and how they're coming to you is hugely helpful in understanding whether or not your content marketing strategy is effective. And follower growth is another KPI to track. Is your LinkedIn followers, for example, going up? Are more people subscribing to your blog? These are all different types of KPIs to track to really be able to measure how effective your content marketing strategy is. The next C is create. This is where you get to have some fun. This is where you get to write your piece. So outlining what you're going to write about, and then sticking to that outline and actually putting pen to paper and creating something amazing. And to us, there are 8 components to creating great content. First, craft a headline with a hook. Grab their attention from the start. And then once you have their attention, the next paragraph should be compelling. Brief but compelling, just really enticing people to read. Create content that your audience will read. And write for your audience. Yes, you might have some hobbies, you might like gardening, or you might do weekend bike trips, whatever it may be, that's fantastic, but at times it's just not relevant to share. And you might lose your audience if you spend too much time talking about that hobby. So really write for your audience. What do they care about? What's their pain point? How are you going to solve it? And to us, an outline is critical to ensuring that you create content that just stays on track. You might say, okay, I want this article to be 400 words, but then you're not following the outline and it turns out to be 2,000. That's always a nightmare, to be able to have to cut it down and figure out how to make it more concise. So follow an outline and stick to it. And be engaging. Again, like use words that flow, make sure there's transitions between paragraphs, short, succinct sentences. All these things will help articles and blog posts be more engaging. And write in your brand voice. Once you have a defined brand voice, stick to it, because it can only help you in the future. And include examples. Examples are fantastic, whether that's a case study or an example from your own firm or a client. Include examples, because that provides or gives your content some validity. The third C is curate, and this is where you do a little extra research when you're actually writing a specific piece. And this is where you would find source statistics or quotes or some other examples to include in your own piece. We like to tell our clients not to be afraid of linking back to another article. You never know, maybe that article author or the blogger might link back to another one of your pieces. And that only can help you in the future. That expands your audience and just also provides you with another connection. So to us, there are 5 benefits behind strategic content curation. The first, it helps keep the cadence of your content consistent. We all get busy, things pop up, and we might not have time to write a piece. You can always leverage another author's content and just comment on it or add an intro. Just make sure you give credit to that author or that company. But it's a great way to be consistent with your content publishing cadence and write about something that's relevant. And also, content curation can help you maintain a conversation with your audience about relevant topics. So, for example, today's Russia-Ukraine crisis, you might be able to tie something into your product offering or service while referencing something else out there related to that, an industry event. And connect with, you can help you also connect with other thought leaders in the space As we mentioned, you might find an author that you like, oh gosh, we're on the same page. This is fantastic. You can reach out to them, tell them you like what they're writing, and just might become another connection for you. Who knows, perhaps you can collaborate on a piece in the future. And content creation, again, positions your firm as a thought leader. It just shows that you're an authority, you're in the know, you know what's going on, and you can distill what someone else write in clear, succinct statements. Again, just creating validity and showing that you are a thought leader. And the fifth benefit to us is reducing cost of content creation. Content creation can be expensive from a time and monetary perspective. So sometimes leveraging other content is fantastic for keeping those costs down. So the fourth C is circulate. To us, this is one of the most important C's, because if a content piece is just sitting on your website doing nothing, you're really not getting the bang for your buck. So figure out ways to disseminate that content to your audience, whether that's leveraging social media, email marketing, sending it to media publications. There's so many different things you can do to leverage that content. And there's also so many different ways you can actually share content nowadays. You can break down a post or an article into bite-sized pieces and share little video clips on social media. You could create compelling and enticing infographics and share that. You can also organize a webinar if you have like an article series that you're writing that might be able to be turned into something educational. Feel free to schedule a webinar. You can also create case studies to back up what you're saying with like real life examples. So there's so many different ways to share what you write with your audience. And the fifth C is convert. And this is, again, what a lot of people forget. The real reason behind why they invested in content marketing, and that is really to push prospects through the sales funnel. And it's, if you're mapping your content carefully, each stage of the funnel will have a different set of KPIs. And it's sometimes hard to track if you're, just doing it on your own and like looking at different sites, trying to figure out what happened, or, using just Google Analytics. But there's certain marketing tools that we mentioned before, like HubSpot or Marketo, that can really provide some keen insight, allowing your sales team to reach out to prospects that have a higher likelihood of turning into clients. So for example, Launchpad Creative is a HubSpot partner. And so I can speak intelligently about their service and how their product works. But what's really neat about that is that we can see, for example, where a prospect or where a contact first initiated with the brand. For example, if they clicked on a LinkedIn post and actually that directed them to the website, we can track that journey and see where they went after that. For example, did they read another blog post? Did they go to the team page? Did they go to the strategy page of the website? We're able to track that information. And then we can also see where they go after that. Do they come back to the brand, to the website after that? Do they sign up for our blog, distribution list? What do they do after? And if that person or if that contact is interacting with with our website or our brand enough, they can appear on a list, and our sales team can reach out to that person to just see how they can be helpful. So investing in a software like a HubSpot, or I mentioned Marketo, there's a number of other tools, can be hugely valuable in really understanding the ROI of your content marketing strategy and help turn prospects into leads, then leads into clients. So creating content that converts. This is a question we get a lot. And I think there are certain attributes to great content that keeps your audience engaged and has a higher potential of turning a prospect into a client. And those attributes are using emotion to engage, like I mentioned, you got to find that pain point. Once you find the pain point and explain it, you introduce your solution. I think that's that little tactic is huge to increasing engagement. And create a sense of urgency. The Russia-Ukraine crisis is obviously a very hot topic right now. How can your product or service offering help with that crisis? For example, do you have a piece of software that could help your clients manage the market volatility, gain more visibility in their positions, different things like that. And if so, figure out a way to communicate that to your audience. Increase the relevancy. Make sure, like I said, the Russia-Ukraine crisis is a prime example of this. But if the iron is hot, strike. And increase the clarity. I think this is super important. Be clear in what you're writing and how you're communicating it and what you're offering. And short, succinct sentences, not using big words, making sure transitions between paragraphs. All these things are very important in creating content that's engaging, and also keeping the content short. No, there's no reason to go out and write a novel. Writing a short piece that engages your prospect and giving them an opportunity to reach out if they want to learn more is enough today. People's attention spans has certainly shrunk over the years, and we're all busy. And just being, just recognizing this goes a long way. You eliminate distractions when you're writing content. Don't go off on tangents. That's why we're huge fans of outlines. You stick to an outline. You don't have all these weird little tangents that take you far away from what you're trying to say, and then it's difficult to pull you back in or get to the point. So yeah, just stick to that outline and back up what you're saying. That's really important. When you back up what you're saying with different different examples, case studies, quotes, it goes a long way in just providing some validity to what you're saying. And don't be afraid to poke the beast. Not trying to be rude here, but that pain point, poke it. Is the market volatility killing returns? Is your, I don't know, is there something else that's just causing some friction in your operations? Find out what that pain point is and poke at it. And then while you're poking at it, show how you can help, eliminate that friction point. So I won't go too much into detail about SEO, as my colleague Taylor Kahn, as I mentioned, provided a crash course in SEO last month. So if you want to see that, please visit our YouTube page and download that video. But spending the time into researching SEO is huge, and huge. So not only like understanding what the keywords are, but really understanding where your audience is, what your audience is reading, where they're reading it, all those different pieces that go into understanding SEO is essential for ensuring that your content is going to get in the right hands. So SEO, great SEO, I should say, it can increases the chances of your piece appearing in SERPs, and it optimizes the on-page experience. And when you combine strong SEO with great content, which we just explained how to create, that elevates your brand. It also expands your audience, and that can only lead to better outcomes. It attracts more people to your website. You have more opportunities that are presented, and then hopefully that results in new clients for your business. So we did it. We got through it in 20 minutes. So thanks so much for sitting through this session on the 5 C's of an effective content marketing strategy. If you couldn't tell, content marketing is really my passion, and I love chatting about it and sharing what I've learned over the years. Just remember, when creating a content marketing strategy, stick to the 5 C's: calibrate, create, curate, circulate, and convert. Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or my colleague, Taylor Kahn. Our contact information is over here on the right of the slide. And stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be sharing the date of our April marketing mini, where Taylor will lead a discussion on email marketing. And she will share with you how you can use great content in email campaigns to get fantastic results. So definitely tune into that, that session, which will most likely occur at the end of April. But in the meantime, feel free to reach out, and thanks so much for joining this month's installment of the Marketing Mini. Have a great week and happy early St. Patrick's Day.